This is Cities in Motion 2, and I am going to build an elevated inner city highway. Right now I have an issue with my western mainland in that there's only one north-south highway, and that highway is along the coast, and I really need three. I need the one along the coast, one on the west side near the mountains, and another one going through the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build one on the west side over this roadway. It's probably going to be 3 lanes, and I'm probably going to start from right here. The reason why I started where I did is because the extra space will be used for the on-ramps or the off-ramps. In order to make this work, you have to alternate the slope for this particular map because it's a very hilly map. So the slope is constantly going up and down. And when you place your elevated highway, you want to make sure that you have room to place the highway in both directions, which means that you don't want to destroy any of the buildings. So when I place my my roads, I'm going to be careful not to pass the sidewalk, and I'm going to build as straight as possible. And I'm occasionally adjusting the height of the road depending on the slope of the terrain. The minimum height is 8 meters. Looks like things are moving along pretty good. I'm almost halfway through. And I'm going to build, obviously, a southbound and a northbound. They're going to be right next to each other. Okay, here's a situation where I'm going to have to build at 20 meters high to go over this this piece and the other piece, and then I'm going to bring it back down to the lower level around here. I'm going to bring it back down to 8 meters. 8 meters might be too low, we'll find out. And I'm placing it at every intersection because the roads are not perfectly straight. The roads were laid by hand. You can't build roads for an unlimited length. So I'm going to discontinue and I'm going to start over again. Right now I'm at 12 meters. I'm going to try and bring it back down to 8, and it looks like it worked. I'm almost all the way there. I'm going to have to go over this little highway that I made. $24 meters, it's actually quite high. Bring it back down to it looks like 12. And over here I'll bring it back down to 8. Using the page up and the page down keys to change the elevation of the road. So now we have a slope. It's actually a bridge. You can see from the shadow. So I have to build it up a little bit more. So we're almost getting to the end of the highway. There's going to be a little bit of issue because we're pretty much going up the side of a mountain. So I have to be a little bit more careful when I place the elevated highway. and we're coming into the final turn, which is also a bridge. Now here we have, believe it or not, another highway which I can connect to. So I'm going to send this, instead of from north to south, it's going to start heading east, which means I'm going to bring it out to here. Let's see if I can bring it down. Nope. And I'm going to remove that on-ramp right here. And I'm going to switch it to a 2-lane road, and it should have no problem connecting. And of course it does have a problem. It doesn't connect right now, but I will make it connect. Let's see if we can compare. As you can see, that road is a lot lower that I'm deleting, but I'm going to fix it right now. And there's the connection. And I'm going to need an on-ramp and, of course, an off-ramp. Because of the slope of the terrain, it's going to be difficult to put the on-ramps and the off-ramps. There's going to be a lot of issues with that. Now I have to make a northbound lane, which will also be 3 wide, and it's going to start from here. Should have no problem fitting it. I'm going to set a pivot point for this curve. And we're going to build it parallel. We're going to go over this bridge. It's going to be very easy to continue. Just going to go right alongside in the empty space and straighten it out as much as possible. Always try and keep it at 8 meters in height. We want it to be as low as possible. If you don't make it 8 meters, you're going to have problems with the on-ramps and the off-ramps because they'll be too steep. Okay, so this is going to have to be done with a little bit more care. I'm going to drop the road off, and I'm going to start a new segment. I'm going to start from here. This is going to keep the road from bumping into the southbound road. And that's what the problem was. And just keep on building. Always try to keep it as low to the ground as possible. Makes it easy for the on-ramps and the off-ramps. And also you want to have, you want to be close to the ground because you might have to build an overpass. And if you, like for example, I'm building an overpass right now, we want that overpass to have space. This one's going to be a little difficult. So somehow I have to get over that other highway, and it's not going to be easy. I think I can do it with 20 meters. Oh, yeah, I guess so. So I'm at 20 meters in height. I'm going to bring it down back to 8. And I'm going to be careful to continue on the center of the road. About halfway done. And I'm sure it's not going to get a lot of traffic. This road is not in a position where a lot of traffic is going to come through. But it's better to have it than not to have it. You'll see that there's a tram line on the road below, which is actually a boulevard. And you want to make sure that you lay down the surface transportation before you start building the elevated highway. Otherwise, it would be very difficult. If I wanted to put a tram line under an elevated highway, it could be very difficult. And the same with bus stops. So luckily it's already been done. And if it hadn't been done, I would have had to run a tram line. That's basically the first step, is to put that surface transportation. Make sure you got as many of your bus stops done as possible. And obviously we could have fit 4-lane roads, but it would have been a really tight squeeze. And I'm almost done with the first step. Okay, so here we are at the end. And just to make things easy, I'm not going to make a complicated on-ramp and off-ramp system. I'm just going to find a place to connect it to, because this right now is not that important. So there's going to be one connection. And the other one like that. And later in the game I'll go back and I'll find a more efficient way of building those connections. And we're going to go to the other end. We're going to complete the missing connection here. Now we're going up the side of a mountain, so I'm going to have to make some adjustments. And the roads, these two-lane roads are very close together, which is why it was giving me problems. It was trying to bend the road into space that it didn't have. Okay, so there's my connection. Now I'm going to go along the road, and I'm going to add the on-ramps and the off-ramps. I usually make them in this triangular manner, but it doesn't have to be done that way. There's another way that you can do them that can solve one of the bugs in the games. Basically what I'm doing is I'm getting off the road. This goes off the road. And then it gets on the road. But you could absolutely do the reverse, where you could get on the road and then get off the road. And that solves the bug where traffic takes an off-ramp and then gets back on. So you can definitely fix that. Okay, I'm going to skip this one, and let's move on to the next one. There's a certain location where you pick on the road in order to make it equal to the other side. If I want the on-ramp to match the other side, you have to start it at these road hashes at the top. And I know you can't see it because of the cursor issue, so I'm going to point it out in an easier way. For this junction to match the opposite side, you want to start at the top of the junction, but on the left expressway. Near the top, which is here, you're going to select near the top. You got two hash marks in the center lanes that are near the top of the screen, not all the way at the top, but right now they're the topmost, and that's where you're going to place the mouse. You can see that I selected the mouse here, and the red line is being drawn from that location. That will more closely match the on-ramp on the other side. But unfortunately, because of this bridge here, I won't be able to make the off-ramp. I'm going to have to do it somewhere else. It's going to be very difficult to place on-ramps and off-ramps for this highway because of the mountainous nature of this part of the map. So any place where I can place something, I'm going to do it. And this is an interesting section because I wasn't able to even connect the road because of the hill of the map. So I'm expecting to come up with some very interesting designs over here. You need to have off-ramps and on-ramps. If you don't have it, the expressway isn't very useful. And obviously, if you have a busy road, you probably want more off-ramps. And it's unfortunate we're going to lose a lot of houses here. but I can always redo that later to make it a little bit smaller and more compact. Now here we have an interesting situation because we have two highways that cross each other. And it would be really nice to connect these highways together. It looks like that one's not going to do it. Okay, the reason why it's not connecting is because the lower highway is flat and the north-south highway goes up a hill and then back down. I'm going to show you what I mean. You can see that it's very difficult to connect to that because of that crazy slope. It's not going to be able to make the connection unless it's way out here where it flattens out. So you cannot make connections to these highly sloped roads. But it's necessary in order to go over the other highway. So I'm going to try on the other side. Hopefully it'll work. There's a little joint right there that I can remove, which makes it easier to build the on-ramp. And it looks like I won't be able to. Okay, so let's find the next location. Okay, so here's another example where the slope is too steep, so I was unable to connect the road. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want as many on-ramps and off-ramps as possible. What I might do is I might take this road out, this half-completed road, and build something that's suitable for my on-ramps and off-ramps. I'm going to show you an example. If I bulldoze this, I should be able to place something. Then again, I might not be able to. There's definitely a way to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to get a regular road, and I'm going to start from here. I'm going to use the page up function right until there. And then I'm going to build that, and I'm going to come back to my highway. And I should be able to make connections here. Okay, there's one possibility. Let's see. Okay, the reason why it didn't work is because the slope of that road is not correct. So I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do it with this road instead, without the sidewalks. Okay, so that looks like it's the correct slope, and I'm going to plant that right there. It looks reasonably flat. It's not perfectly straight. I'm going to go back to my on-ramps and off-ramps. And as you can see, it connects very easily. Game's a little bit slow, which is why it's taking a little bit longer to select the pieces that I need. And I'm sure that the game is slow because I'm running on a laptop, and it's a little bit of an older laptop, maybe 3 years old now. I'm going to see if I can connect a road here. Nope. It's actually possible that you can use an expressway and have the expressway make that connection. You just have to try different pieces. I'm going to try a one-way road. They don't all behave the same. So an expressway single lane is different than a regular road single lane. Now over here we have a problem connection where we've got this little tiny road which is right here, and it's causing traffic jams because only one car can cross the intersection every time the light changes. So I really want to get rid of that. And now's the time to do it. The way I'm going to do it is first I'm going to build some sort of a connection, and then I'm going to trim the road. And obviously you can see that this is the perfect place to trim the road, which is right here. And I'm going to remove this little joint. And then I'm going to restore that connection like that. It would be really nice to have a connection here, but it looks like it's not going to. And let's take a look as to the reason why. Okay, so the reason why it won't connect is because it is a sloped road, and it's very difficult to connect to a sloped road. Usually you can only make connections when the roads are horizontal. So that connection probably won't happen. However, there is another possibility. I can take, I'm going to remove this little joint over here. I'm going to try one more time. Because that little joint could have been the problem. I'm going to try and come from underneath the road. And see if I can connect it to this other road. So it is possible to make a connection. But the question is it necessary? I'm not convinced. So I'm not going to place that. It doesn't make sense to put that there. I think the best thing to do is focus on the next on-ramp and off-ramp, which is probably going to be right here. And plus I'm going to see if I can make any connections between these two highways. Looks like I cannot. This here really doesn't make that much sense because I'm probably going to have an off-ramp right here. And you'll notice that I'm pulling it back to make it as short as possible. It's not going to have a lot of traffic, so I don't have to worry about having a long on-ramp. This is probably sloped down the hill, which makes it very difficult to place an on-ramp or an off-ramp. It ends up that this is a very difficult line to build because of the slope of the mountain. It's going to be very hard to place most of the on-ramps and off-ramps. But I'm not worried about that. It's still going to get a lot of use. The other thing I can do is I can try to make a pivot point. I will try at a later time to see if I can fix that. Here we have another example where the road did not connect because it was too steep. About 75% done with this road. Haven't seen any traffic on it yet. Here we have another highway. This could end up being a very complicated intersection. So I'm just going to do a basic connection right now, and obviously later I'm going to have to make it so that all the connections are complete going in each direction. It would be considered a T-junction. Okay, I'm going to move on. And this looks like it might be one of the last junctions. If you're having difficulty, you really just want to do the best you can. Remember that you can always delete your work. The houses will come back at some point. In order to complete this, I might have to delete that road that made that intersection. I really wanted to have there, too bad it won't. This looks like it's going to be the final junction. Now there's also a bus stop there, and that bus stop is not in a good place. I'm going to have to move the bus. Actually, that bus stop is not being used. Oh, no, it is. I will show you how to move a bus stop, which isn't difficult, but it doesn't always work. Usually it does. And it's preferable if you only have to move the bus stop for one line, because you have to move it separately for each line. Now for this bus stop, it's not in a good position. And the reason why is because any bus that stops there is going to block the on-ramp. And there are 4 lines going through here, so I'm going to have to move all 4 of them. I'm going to place a new stop right here. And I am going to open up these bus lines. And I'm going to add that stop. The old bus line is 1048, which is currently highlighted. And the new stop is 1269, which needs to come before it. So I'm going to add 1269, which is right here, and then I'm going to go to 1048 and I'm going to delete it. And you'll notice that over here on the the right window, that bus line disappeared. It's no longer included. So we corrected one. I'm going to do the next one is bus line 61. I'm going to add that stop. Let's see if I can find where it inserts it. There it is, 1269 will be added. And I'm going to delete 1048, which is right here. And bus line 61 should disappear. And there it goes. So now I'm going to do bus line 54. We're going to add stop 1269, which has been added. I'm going to remove 1048, and then bus line 54 is going to get bumped off of that list. Now you're going to see that this stop has 3 bus lines. There's only one more that needs to be moved, which is bus line 60. This is the stop that I'm removing. I'm going to add 1269. I'm going to remove 1048. And now, as you can see from this window, there are no bus lines assigned to this stop, and in fact it says not assigned to any line. So I'm going to close that, and I'm going to bulldoze that bus stop because it's no longer useful. And over here you will see that all 4 bus lines have been transferred to the new stop. A little bit complicated, but it definitely works. Okay, this highway is now operational. I'm going to inspect it to see if there's any place that I can correct anything that I didn't like. I would like to have more on-ramps and off-ramps over here. There's one. I'm going to get a little bit of a view here of the terrain. Because again, the terrain is going to be one of the biggest problems. This road has a long slope to it. It's going to be hard to connect, but not impossible. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to add this. Obviously there's a way to do it, and that would require rebuilding that road on the surface to make it a little bit more level, easier to deal with. It won't be able to support any houses anymore once I make the correction. But this one's a little bit more important right here. We really want this junction to connect one road will have to go to the surface, one will have to go north, and one will have to go south. I'm going to take a look at how this is done. As you can see, that's quite a steep connection that needs to be made. So it's going to be a little bit difficult. The easy way is to backtrack and rebuild. As you can see, the further back I go, it makes its way up the hill quite easily. And it won't do it from here. So I'm going to try to make the extension. And not only does this have to connect to the northbound, it has to connect to the southbound too. And perhaps the best way to connect to the southbound might be to go under the ground. No matter what we do, we're going to lose some of the housing. So there is, actually it's too deep. I had an underground tunnel right here, and there's another one, and I could easily connect this just like that. Which of course means that I'm going to lose that building. And ideally make this connection I have to connect this to this. And it shouldn't be a problem. I mean, I should be able to do it. I might have to remove that bus stop. See how many lines. We've got one line, and it's bus line 63. The question is, how do I make that connection? So there's one way. That allows the westbound traffic to head south, and now all I need is to help it go north. Which actually it's not that important, but I'm going to take what I got. Now the southbound traffic is going to want to go east. So I'm going to have to figure out how to connect the southbound. It's probably going to go over the road. I'm going to start perhaps around here. Bring it up to 16 meters. Let's see if these roads are level. Okay, 16 should be fine. Now I'm going to take that little ramp and connect it here. It's going to be a little bit difficult because it's a sloped road, but eventually it will connect. Make it as straight as possible. Not a very elegant design, but I just realized that I should delete what I just did, was a great idea, but there's going to be a better way to make the connection. So I'm going to delete this and redo it. And I'm going to try and make the connection through here. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm going to remove this joint. And I'm going to start in this area. I'm going to lose this building, unfortunately. And I'm going to try and get that road to connect to this other road. It might be easier if I go below the ground, because it's probably steep. You can see that's really steep, and if I go below the ground, I'm probably going to get a better connection. It's actually a little bit more difficult to go below the ground because I have a road underneath, basically. And if I go above, I don't have that problem. And plus, I've got to cross another road that is going underneath. So it's going to be a little difficult. But I found a way, which is through here. And the question is, can I reconnect that road? This is a very tight fit. I'm going to check to see how the height compares. So it's at the right height, or it's close. If I can join this intersection right here with this road, then my problem will be solved. And it looks like I cannot. Let's see if this will connect. And that one does. Now the question is, can I connect this intersection with either of these two roads? And it looks like it won't. So I'm going to work very hard to make this fit. Okay, so we've got this little wishbone shape. This is weird. Definitely going to be able to make it fit, so I'm not worried. But it seems like there's something different this time. I don't know why it's not letting me branch out of here when before it did without a problem. I'm going to remove this. And try once again to come out of here. Should be easy. That's weird. Now it's not doing it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I made the second connection. Now let's see if I can get that third connection in there. And there it is. So basically what I've done is I've added this underpass, which comes from the southbound traffic. There's going to be a junction in there somewhere, which is right there. So we've got that underpass, and then we have the surface traffic, and then we have the northbound traffic. So we've made all the connections. However, on the other road, we haven't made all the connections. On the other road, we still need a connection heading northbound. The westbound has to head northbound, so I'd have to connect from here to here. And it looks like it's possible. If I have to do it that way, I'm going to do it that way. Even though it looks a little goofy. Again, anything that you make, you can always change it later, so this can be a temporary connection. And at some later point, I can just remove it. I have the feeling that this bus stop is going to go, and I'm going to have to do a better job branching out from this little intersection over here. So that's how you build an elevated roadway within a city. I'm going to quickly scan to see if there's more on-ramps that I can build. I can obviously build another one over here. And at any road crossing, I can build it. This one is missing one of the connections. I'm going to try using a regular road. Sometimes it works. In this case, no. It would be nice to connect this to this, and it looks like it does, but I'm going to make sure I use the expressway. The expressway does not use traffic lights. Definitely one of the differences. But I'm unable to get that off-ramp. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we've got a way for them to get north. It would be nice to have this connection here. I'm sure that this is going to be a road that has a steep slope to it, which probably explains why I can't make the connection. Although it looks like we can do it through here. Now you're going to notice that there's a difference between those two on-ramps, between this one and this one. And the difference is the one on the right has a small white line after the arrow. You can see it right there. And that little white line is because I'm using a regular road piece as opposed to an expressway piece. So there is a difference. They're not identical. I'm going to check to see if there's any other segments that I can make. I see some cars are now using the highway. This would probably be another good place. First, I'm going to try with the normal expressway pieces, and if they don't work, I will switch to the regular roads. Unfortunately, it's going to be difficult because I have that set of on-ramps and off-ramps. But what I could do is I could delete those, and that might fix the problem. Oh, there's the connection. And this is using a regular road, so we're not using the expressway piece right now. Hopefully it won't create any damage. It looks like I won't be able to make another connection. Okay. And I didn't make all the connections. I'm going to give you an example. This road, which is going west, cannot go south. If you want to do it, it is possible. You would have to find a piece somewhere in the middle, and you would have to fit around, go over here, and reconnect to the southbound. It would have to be shaped like that. But I'm guessing that because of the strangeness of the terrain, it's probably going to be difficult to fit all of those in. Another example is if you want to switch to the north, as it is currently designed, it can't do it. You would build it through here, you'd have to go up and get it through. Now the easiest way to make those connections is actually to start here find a way to get it. It looks like it won't do it. I'm going to try the other. Oh, that's not the expressway piece. I'm going to get back to the expressway. Okay. And you would have it go over as much as possible. And then make that connection. Not pretty, but again, it's a temporary design. You can remove it whenever you want. Okay, let's see. Actually, this is fixable. Here we have this steep slope, and the way we can fix it is instead of having this long, gradual slope, I can make it steeper so it becomes level above this tram stop, and then I'll be able to make the connection I want to make. It just requires smoothing out that road or making it more of a sharp hill, but that connection can obviously be created. So I'm going back down. We're almost at the end. I'm doing a check to make sure I can, for any of the connections that I missed or skipped. Like this looks like one. I'm going to remove this joint, and I'm going to see if I can place off-ramps over here. It looks like no. There's definitely going to be a way to make a connection over here. I'm sure if I go like this. I'm going to try the one-way street with no sidewalk, see if that will make it. So you can see it's a very steep road over here, which is why I'm having difficulty making the on-ramp and the off-ramp. In fact, this road is the third level down. So to connect to this, it's got to go up two more roads. There's two roads above it. So that's going to be a difficult place to make that connection. And I still see vehicles on the road. Here's another joint that needs to be removed, which is right here. This is also a good place to take the highway and send it in a new direction. For example, I can build an extension that continues southward. Let's see if I can fix this. Definitely possible. It's just going to take a little bit of work to do it. Try with a one-way road. Okay, so we have that connection. Let's see how steep it is. It looks like it should be able to do it, except for the fact that this piece here is sloped. And again, when it's sloped, you're probably not going to be able to make the connection. You need a flat road. So the way to make it is going to be to flatten that, which might not be possible. But we also have a bus stop now that needs to be moved. I'm going to take a look at that bus stop. It only has one line on it, so it should be easy to move. I'm going to put down a new bus stop. I'm going to select the existing one, go to bus line 44, add a stop. It's 1048 is the stop number. And we're going to look for 816. So as you can see, it's adding 1048 before 816. And then I'm going to remove 816, and one way to remove it is to just delete it. And it will be removed from that list, and the change has been made. So now you can see that the bus line has been moved to the new stop. Okay, so that was adding an elevated highway through the city, and I'm going to check to see how the other traffic is doing. This is a road that I made. I made a service road over here. It's in another video, and it alleviated a lot of the traffic jams. So that was one of the changes that I made. It's not perfect, but it does reduce a lot of the traffic jams. We've got some traffic jams over here. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you.